People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian, man. Come on.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian, man. Come on.
Because you always just that active when defending. I think it's like. Because you always just that active when defending. I think it's like. Because you always just that active when defending. I think it's like.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian, man. Come on.
And with an intro like that, what more can I say? People deluded, I'm back again. First things first, appreciative of all the support you give our platforms, whether you're locked in on Twitch or YouTube. Make sure you're cross-following, as well as all the other social media. 2 p.m, people, I've done a condensed version of the transfer news, people. So, yeah, make sure you're looking at that. I discussed Declan Rice. I went over the Athletics article and things like that. And, yeah, man, all these other things. But before all of that, as usual, appreciative of all the support you give my platform. Appreciate you lot tuned in. Any thoughts, opinions, questions, talking points, please make sure you're getting them in. Smash the like button as well, people. And yeah, man, it is what it is. We're flying high. I don't check the league table, but I describe Arsenal as being on a mountain at this moment in time. We've dealt with all the London clubs. We even got onto the Scousers. You know, Sunday, if we beat them, man, get a little get back, get a little revenge. You know, it just dawned on me, had we have beaten a certain team at Old Trafford, a team we don't travel well to, we'd technically be invincible right now. And we'd probably be more unbearable than we potentially are. Like, my friends that don't support Arsenal are all scheming on our downfall. I've become a monster. Privately, publicly, you'll see the political farmer. Privately, they can't stop me. They can't stop me. I'm terrorizing every one of my group chats, everybody on Snap, the Instagram antics. I can't be stopped. And can you blame me? For years, Arsenal weren't on that. Now, it's a dream that I never want to end, people. And obviously, I hope that what we're talking about in January, like we were talking about in December, in November, in September, in October, in August, in May, the same things are still said, or at least we minimum return to the Champions League. And I think Rice's camp leaked Arsenal's interest. Who knows, man? Is anything really a secret in today's day and age? And especially someone like Declan Rice, where all of the top six would be interested. Man United, Man City, Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal. Have I said Man United? Spurs got no chance, really and truly. Again, until we sign the guy, I don't really care, really. I'll be real with you. They can say we're confident and things, but as we've seen with Mudryk, until people are holding scarves saying they've always supported Arsenal since a little kid, who knows? I think the race for Declan Rice is open. He has spoken about Mikel Arteta prior and what Arsenal are doing. I think there is a project to sell to him. I think that, you know, what Ten Hag's looking to do at Man United and what he's doing right now and the historical prestige of that club, Manchester United, they have an option. I don't know if City will move for him because West Ham are going to ask for a lot of money. Plus, they've got Calvin Phillips and they have Rodri, but, you know, you can never not have too many players. And, you know, again, when you look at Foden, at Grealish, potentially Declan Rice, maybe Jude Bellingham and people of that ilk, you could have young English stars of the future. Liverpool have a great project to sell to him. And I'm sure the quicker Liverpool fans see Henderson not play again for all he's done for the club, the better. I would still rate Chelsea as the front runners. Now, we've heard today Chelsea are looking at bringing in Calcedo, and they're still going for Enzo Fernandez. But who knows, man? I think Declan Rice, apparently he wants to stay in London. Obviously, he was released by Chelsea. His best friend Mason Mount's there. They're a London club. Unfortunately, I hate to say it, but I do think Chelsea, once they get over this transitional period, they will have a good team, really and truly. And again, for me, what scares me is next season, because anytime Chelsea come 8th, 10th, the next season that follows, they're on smoke, innit? And Chelsea are going to have to flush out a lot of players. And, you know, you have seen Raheem Sterling's apparently available as well. Let's actually type his name in as well to add to the news and that. add to the news and them things there. But yeah, man, once they get rid, they could have potentially Declan Rice, Caicedo, Kovacic in an attacking sense, you know, and Nkunku, Mudryk. Don't know what they're doing with João Felix, if he's going to stay or not. They're probably still going to buy another striker. Apparently, they're still even on to Vlahovic and all of these things. So, yeah, I think every club has something to sell to Declan Rice, but there is a degree of excluding his contract, which is contracted until 2024 with an option of another year. I like how Arsenal's model is, you know, we want to be convinced in the player. We don't want to get drawn into bidding wars and all of these things that have seen us benefit from Jesus and things, but probably lost out where Rafinha, Vlahovic, Mudryk of today, Lisandro Martinez could be thrown in. That it's a bit different because Lisandro Martinez was on joining us. It's just, you know, his former gaffer in Ten Hag, going to play him centre-back. Knows his manager, don't know Arteta's going to do it. The others we was taking around the houses. As much as I admire that project, especially as we keep developing as a football club and we keep getting better, the margins for improvement in the team is less and less, you know, because the casting net of players that can improve us and add something gets smaller and smaller. And when you start to get into this scenario where you need a couple of players that have that bit of stardust, you know, where allegedly Mudryk's concerned, Rafinha at the time, João Felix, I'm not criticizing any of this, Vlahovic, you know, potentially even Raheem Sterling, who we've got interest in several. There is an element of, although I like what Arsenal do, I like our approach, I'm not saying overpay for the sake of it, but you do have to overpay. You do have to get put into bidding wars and you do have to do these sort of things. So we're going to get into that scenario. And this is why, for me, why we need to get better at selling players long-term, really, because who knows, again, it's probably naive to expect Martinelli, Saka, all of these guys to stay here their whole careers. But if we tie down their contracts, we get better at selling players. You know, even Martin Odegaard, you know, one day he might say, do you know what? I've done what I've needed to do at Arsenal. We've had great memories, move on. Can you get something really good in terms of outgoings? Because we haven't had a significant sale like that. And I believe we should do better at selling players and things like that. And I think that would help us reinvest, especially where Haylen's concerned. You know, Charlie Patino, Brooke Norton, Coffey, Balogun. Listen, more so Charlie Patino, because I believe there really is an opportunity for him to break into the first team in the next 2 years or so. But let's take our time. If these guys don't hit the levels, then there's no shame in that. Can you sell them? Can you get decent money? And even that, difficult decisions have to be made, like we've seen with Sir Alex Ferguson, with Pep Guardiola, with, you know, Jose, with Wenger, with all these guys. Sometimes you have to sell players where, to us as fans, it looks absolutely silly to do that. Sometimes you need to replace players, whether selling them or bringing in players, before you need to, really. And you have to make harsh decisions, you know. Again, just to paint some examples, I don't know, Granit Xhaka's a phenomenal player for Arsenal Football Club and he's doing the business, and it'd be harsh to rub him out, but there might be a scenario where there's a better sentiment that can do what he does to a better level. Bring him in. The same goes for Partey. The same even goes for the Smith Rowe, Sakas, Martinellis, etc., etc. People like Eddie and Nketiah, keep developing, doing your thing, but they might only get to a certain point. And again, this is just examples where, you know, maybe selling you, we get someone better and we keep it moving. That's the harsh reality of football, people. Please make sure you've smashed the like button and all of that good stuff on YouTube. Twitch gang, you're doing amazing, as you guys always are. So it all depends, really, really and truly, how you look at it. So yeah, man, it's a very interesting one. Get your opinions in, people. You lot are more sleepier than me. I went to bed at 3 o'clock. I've woken up 8 a.m. I don't know, 8. No, I'm lying. 7:45. That was a bit of a lay-in for, man. But yeah, man. But yeah, you get the point. So there has to be that sort of scenario, really. You have two options. You either do this, we find the stars of tomorrow. Could you find that Napoli Don, you know, because to us, he's been on the scene 80 minutes, but about 18 months, sorry. But he was at Ruben Kazan. Could you have got him? Could you have got Mudryk in the summer, or dotted I's, and we'll get into it, but dotted I's and crossed T's prior to obviously January and taking long and Chelsea got involved? Could you either find these guys before, you know, but when they're emerging talents, and especially in today's day and age, the biggest buzzword is potential. Mudryk has done nothing in the game, not to belittle anything he's done. He's done his bits in the Champions League and things, but he's been on the scene 2 minutes and he's worth 100 million and he has an 8.5-year deal. The potential is the biggest buzzword, and Arsenal need to use that to our own advantage with the players we've got at various levels, really and truly. So you either sign these guys before they get there, or when they become household names, you put the bread down. And again, it's always the clubs can never win or lose. You know, I do think it's ambitious, But the reality is, you know, if you spend a ton of money on a player and they do the business, nobody cares, innit? If they don't, that's where there's issues. And it's worked out for Liverpool with Alisson and Van Dijk. I'm sure, not to belittle their talents, but I'm sure they wouldn't have wanted to pay what they paid for those players. But it was a means to an end, and it kind of paid off with Champions League and obviously Premier League success for Liverpool. And there's plenty of other examples in that regards as well, people. And there'll be plenty in years to come. So it is what it is, man. Arteta's system requires wingers who are dribblers and can take a man on. That's why I don't think we'll go for Trossard. Sorry, I agree and disagree. I hear what you're saying, but I think in theory Trossard would thrive at Arsenal. I think Martinelli's a 1v1 demon. He's kind of had to tailor his game. A big part of Mikel Arteta is playing in those central zones. As much as Saka takes his man on, you see the link-up play with Odegaard and all those things, and you see him drift into wide areas. I do think I'm not really that keen on Trossard. I don't know why. Maybe it's because obviously after the name, maybe it's a bit of being a bit snooty and stuff. But after being linked with the potential of Mudryk and all these guys, Trossard is looking a bit But saying that, sometimes you might have to do that. He's Premier League proven. He's a very, he's a dangerous player on his day. Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea fans could tell you for free about the smoke he brings. He's experienced. He doesn't necessarily block the pathways because he's 28 years of age, can play in a number of roles, a decent little squad player. But he has previously spoken in a few months ago about how he wants to be a starter and things. And if he joins the top six side, excluding Spurs, is he necessarily going to be a starter at Liverpool, for example? Would he be a starter, like undoubted starter at this moment in time at Arsenal, Chelsea, Man United, Liverpool? Probably not. And I mean, Arsenal have been interested with Trossard, so we have to know about his mentality. But we know Arteta, he's onto you about your behavior in it, and like you all saw in the last couple of days, Trossard's kind of been alienated from Brighton because of his attitude in training. Maybe he's trying to force a move in January. That's a means to an end. Things are happening, but I'm not too sure Arteta would be convinced necessarily by that. So it just looks a bit mad, man. Yo, DG, the volume ain't working on YouTube. I'm going to Twitch now. Is that? Can everyone on YouTube hear me properly, or is that an isolated incident? Been a while, Chris. Shout out to you. Nico Williams, I like him, but it's one of them where I'm not 100%. When I say 100% convinced on players, it don't mean I don't think you're a good player. I'm just not 100% convinced. You know, you're good technically. You know, you got a bit of speed. You look like you could improve, but I'm not wholeheartedly convinced to say, you know, if I was in charge of Arsenal, put the 50 million down on him in the same way that, you know, there is a couple of players that have been kind of convincing. And I can't say I was convinced like that about Mudryk because I couldn't tell you 10 games that Mudryk's played in 90 minutes. I can't tell you his weaknesses. Everyone became an expert on Ukrainian football, primarily Arsenal fans, and now Chelsea fans, sorry, all going to become experts on Mudryk and all these things. But he's played 44 games. Diaby would be good. I like him a lot, but still the same sort of logic, really. I think he needs to play to a greater level and more consistently. Sounds good. Appreciate you lot for letting me know. So, yeah, that seems like an isolated incident, my guy, man. I don't know. Maybe you've got me muted or something. I'm not too sure. Shout yourself, File. Not that keen on Trossard. I think as a team, we have grown past that level of player. I hear that. What now? The Arsenal hierarchy getting desperate and now going for leftovers. There had to be contingency plans, bro. We need to get back to those David Dean silent signings like Fabio Vieira. But football, how much things are kept secret in football? Obviously, you do get them incidences, but everything's kind of known. And I hear you though. You know, we've kind of showed our hand, and not even just in relation to Mudryk. We was committed to spending, let's just call it 70 million quid on someone who's played 44 appearances. So if you're going for Diaby, if you're going for Rafinha, if you're going for Pedro Neto, if you're going for Yeremy Pino, if you're going for Ferran Torres and all these guys, I'm not here to say anyone's better or not. Naturally, if Arsenal came to you and you lot was in their positions, the selling club, you're going to say, hang on a minute, you lot had this much for that much. What's going on? Arsenal can point towards Liverpool's deal for Cody Gakpo all they want. Potential is the buzzword in football. People know English clubs got money to spend in it. And I don't think the club can win because you spend big money. The same people saying you're not spending, you sign a player and he doesn't hit it off straight away. Oh, you panicked. You don't sign anyone, then you all know the issues that could come with that. But I mean, it is what it is. 100 million for 44 games. Shout out Pennsylvania, people. Why can't we go and get Leao? I mean, his contract's running down, but again, January's difficult because, again, AC Milan are trying to accomplish what they're trying to accomplish. They're in transfer negotiations at the moment, contract negotiations with him. Obviously, he has previously spoken about Arsenal and he used to play at Lille, so we must have known about him. But it's them things there looking like a summer thing, really. You probably have to see how the contract thing plays out with him being contracted until 2024 and things like that. Our priority wingers were Rafinha, Neto, Mudryk. Either way, we got none of them in it. Diaby seems like another Pepe. I do kind of feel a bit like that. He's an exciting player, but for me, it's the consistency level, and they're going to want a mad fee. He is contracted until 2025, so within the next 18 months, they need to find a new deal for him. I believe we can bring in at least 2 decent players, a winger and a centre mid. I hear that. Do you know what? If the winger thing doesn't bang, then I would love us to just commit to central midfield, because I don't want to be that guy. But anything happens to Xhaka or Partey, then whichever one isn't there, you kind of rob the player of what they could do. You rob us of what our season in it. But what I would say is I have a lot of sympathies for even Edu, but mainly Arteta. Any problems with injuries or not having players and fans doing that, if we had this guy fit, that guy fit, it's not that I don't care, but I don't have sympathy for it, because injuries are not isolated to Arsenal. Injuries to footballers are what chefs cut in their hands. It comes with the occupation, really. And we can see we need depth. And obviously, we started well in the summer, failed to bring in a centre mid and a right winger. And there's still a lot of time in the market, but also there's not really that much time on the 17th of January. So let's just hope we can make something happen, really. Why aren't we looking at Zaha? Probably the boat's gone, really. I'd take Zaha for a set. I prefer Neto. Our teams seem to pick up less injuries these days. That's true, but injuries still happen. You know, Zinchenko's had a little niggles. You know, Partey's had some niggles. Elnene's had some niggles. That would be lit. But again, injuries can happen at any time. So we need to be prepared. You know, injuries, if we call injuries winter, would you rather leave your house with it being winter? Would you rather leave your house with too many jackets and hoods and all these things on and have the luxury of taking off coats and leaving it in your car? Or would you want to go outside in a flip-flops or a vest? Where if the temperature is cool, you can hold it up. Maybe if you jog around, but if the temperature drops a little bit, it's gonna be cold out here. Don't want Zaha. Zaha ship sailed years ago. Long time ago, better yet. We're in a weird place where we haven't won anything to draw the top players. At the same time, we know we're too good to just sign second-rate players. I somewhat agree with that. We need to go for Kudus from Ajax and Kone from Gladbach, or Kesse from Barca. Kesse from Barca, I'd leave him alone, even though he's a good player. Kone is welcome, and as is Mohamed Kudus. Different roles, but yeah, man, they're welcome without a doubt, man. But yeah, we're just going to have to make things happen. Shout out the Twitch ones. That's Matoma then. I mean, Matoma, he looks decent and he's savage in everything, but he seems like everyone that they want. Good comparison. He seems like the guy. I mean, I do like him, but people talk like he's 17 years of age. The man's 25, in which it could be helpful. Smash the like button. There's 44 likes and there's over 100 of you tuned in. What's going on there, folks? So we'll have to see, man. With that being said, let's crack on with some of this transfer news. Before that, we can't do any of that unless I can make timestamps. So before that, sorry folks, technical difficulties. We got to go over to the good old Google Docs sheet. Where should we have it from? Let's say 13. Is Arteta forgetting we have cup games, Europa games, and some would say going for a title, we need 3 players minimum this window. I don't think Arteta is forgetting anything. I mean, several times the man sits there and goes, we need players. We need players. We want to maximize the window. It's true, we're looking for one. Gabriel Jesus is the only striker. You know, he says all of these things, but that's not his remit. Arteta's job, in my opinion, he's done that. I'm not criticizing anyone. I'm not saying Edu was right or wrong to not commit to Mudryk, but fundamentally, my problem is it never happened, innit? What are we doing past that? You know, I know that the window is difficult to do business. Ideally, you wouldn't want to sign anyone in Jan because we'd have enough cover. And ideally, you want to get them in early. But that's not Arteta's remit. Arteta, at most, when it comes to players coming into this club, is to tell them the project, to convince them if they need that to join, and how they would improve and how they tie in individually and collectively. Dotting I's, crossing T's, getting the deals done. That is with Edu and his team. Like for Mudryk, fundamentally, he didn't do it. In the same way, if Arsenal, considering what we're doing right now, if you don't get Champions League minimum, or some would say, you know, maintain where we are in the title challenge, it's not that people are going to get onto Mikel Arteta, allegedly, I don't check the league table. It's not that people are not going to get onto Arteta, but you're going to ask questions. What happened here? What happened there? The short of it is you was one place and you're not. Edu, maybe you did something wrong. Maybe you didn't. We're not privy to all the details. Maybe Arsenal's pursuit of Mudryk was never as close as we're alleged to believe, but fundamentally, you ain't got someone in. If we're playing Newcastle, like we needed someone to come off that bench and try, you know, fresh legs and stuff, you can't go fail transfer targets. Just like last year, while I admire not signing players for no reason and obviously was taken around the house with Vlahovic, you can't go save wages, come off the bench. Reality. You know, if you play good for 90, in football's a 90-minute game. If, I don't know, William Saliba plays well for 89 minutes, he makes a mistake in the 90th and it costs the team or anyone else, you're going to focus on that and say, yeah, you played well, but fundamentally you cost us points. So Edu needs to pull it out. And obviously he's a sporting director. All I hope is that Edu's got enough contacts to leverage. He's working in the back burners. His team is as good as him, because it's not just Edu doing all of that, but things need to happen. And as much as I feel when everyone's fit, we have got some okay depth. We're evidently weak in an attacking option. Evidently we're weak in an attacking option, you know, really, you know, again, against Newcastle. I didn't agree with necessarily bringing on Fabio Vieira to change things, but we didn't have that. We would, you know, I think 4 signings that wouldn't happen in January. 4 signings would do us the world of good, people. You know, again, in an ideal world, just this January, you know, ideally, I would have loved it, because, again, allegedly, we tried to get João Felix and Mudryk. So I have to assume Arteta wants 2 more attacking players. So I would say maybe a striker / winger. I would say at a minimum, a winger / centre mid with whatever's happening. I would say minimum a central midfielder. In an ideal world, I think I would get a striker with a different profile, a winger that brings something a bit different, a centre middle too, definitely another centre back, and I'd keep an eye open to right back, man. Balogun should join the club. He can do better than Nketiah. I mean, he technically does play for Arsenal, and maybe he could. And all he needs to do is keep developing. He's hit his goals for the season. He said he wanted to get 10 goals in the French top division. He's done that. Keep doing what you're doing. Come back to Arsenal Football Club with more confidence. Show Arteta what you can do in pre-season, because there is scope for you, as you've seen with injuries. Really, you know, football fans do this little thing like, oh, we can't have Odegaard because we got Smith Rowe. We can't bring a winger in. What about Saka and Martinelli? And then these same people cry about these players needing rests. It don't really make sense. So, as I've said previously, I think everything should be open where Balogun's concerned, to leaving permanently, to going back on loan, or being brought back in. I do think fundamentally, with him being contracted until 2025, though, we need to start looking at bringing him a new deal. I don't want Rafinha in Arsenal. We have our main man there in his position that's better. Oh, yeah, but we need depth. Balogun is another Atpom. Hey, respect Atpom. He's currently the Championship's top goal scorer, lad. And if these guys come through Haaland and they bust through into the first team, great. But, you know, some people have to be sold on. Maybe at a point we could have got decent money for Reece Nelson, definitely Ainsley Maitland-Niles. One day, you know, we might get to a point where we need a bit more from a striker, nothing to do with Eddie Nketiah, and he's developed to a point where he brings in a significant sum. Knowing Arsenal, I was hoping for at least one. We never do business in Jan, and when we did in the past, we've won leagues doing so. To be fair, we did bring in an Arshavin and Aubameyang. I swear it's like fans hate depth for Arsenal sometimes. They don't understand football more time. Rafinha isn't worth the 100 million, if that's even true, and he don't seem interested to play for Arsenal at all. I think we should be making a move for Kudus. He can cover in at least 3 positions, then make an offer for another midfielder that would deputise if Partey is injured. I hear that, Graham. Arsenal have one weakness. We don't have a super sub. We need players. Saying that as well, though, you know, Smith Rowe's back. Would you push for the Europa League as well, deluded, or focus on the league? But I'm not being funny, but sitting there and again, plans change, variables shift, and all of these things happen in a season. I very much doubt Leicester was sat there when they won the league title, when they won the league title, in August, and said we're going to win the league. So variables, things shift in it, really and truly. You know, Liverpool probably were trying to go for the league. Their thing is now just qualifying for the Champions League. So things change. What I would say is that in August, the plan was Champions League football via the domestic campaign. And obviously, Europa League gives you that as well as winning the Europa League trophy. We're in a unique position, but you need to go for both. There's no either or. Again, long term, if Arsenal get to where we all want it to be, you need to be doing what City and Liverpool were doing, like competing for all trophies and things. Just the other day, Liverpool were talking about winning every damn trophy. Fortunately for us, it didn't work out. I don't think we can have that luxury of focusing on just the league or the Europa League. You need to go for both, because if by God's grace we're in the Champions League next season, man can't sit there and say that. This is why we need depth. You need to go as far as you can in the Europa League. Things can change, you know. While the league looks rosy, 3 defeats or losing points and things start changing, really, because there will be an element of us hitting a kind of brick wall in this season for as good as we've been. So you need to go for both. Last time I checked, the Gaffer ain't won a European trophy. These players at Arsenal ain't won a European trophy, as well as a league table. You need to go for all of them. Simple as that, really. We got the luxury of going through and skipping out around, unlike Man United in the Europa League. You need to go for both. Finish as high as you can in the league, go as far as you can in the Europa League. And obviously, as an Arsenal fan, after that would probably be the FA Cup, which obviously we won it during COVID times, which put a bit of a dampener for the fans. But ever since we won it, big up Arteta, I think we've just been disgracing ourselves in that competition, if I'm honest with you. So we need to get back. Although saying that, you know, you know who we got in the next round. So it could all be mad, really and truly. So we're just gonna have to get on with it. Literally just gonna have to get on with it, man. We're limited on who we can get. Right players, right attitude to fit what Arteta needs. I disagree. You know, there's thousands and probably even millions of footballers. You know, you go out there and find them. Really, I can't give you a list, but Arsenal's when you look at it away from a football club and say it's a company, how much is Arsenal worth? How much programs have they got to scout players? We've known we've needed a winger for over a year. If we was trying to buy Mudryk in the summer, that means we had to have been doing our due diligence and scouting him prior to that, or prior to his emergence to us common football fans. You know, bring in the players. You look in our team, there's players that have been brought through under very different circumstances. So I don't think we're limited at all, if I'm completely honest with you. I do think we're a bit coy on the players we want. I do think there's an added focus on not just spending money, or we're trying to do our due diligence a bit better. You know, it is what it is. There's a bunch of players that could improve Arsenal, really, but we've got to that scenario where these players are probably a premium if you're not going to do the scouting thing. And as I said, finding that Napoli guy before, he joins Napoli, getting Mudryk before he kind of has this emergence and all of these things. You know, in the same way Chelsea are stealing targets, we should just probably at this point, Ajax, Napoli, Monaco, Dortmund, just whoever, just find out where they're watching, what games they're watching, and just teeth their players, man. It is what it is at this point. Is Maitland now still at Arsenal? He's at Southampton at the moment. And Nketiah is solid, should target Matoma, class player. But again, Brighton probably know they're going to lose McAllister. They've just lost Bissouma, Ben White just before that. They could lose Caicedo in this window. Are they really going to they're probably going to lose Tossart. There's a good chance they lose Tossart in Jan. McAllister, it seems like a summer move. If anything, things can change. Matoma's just got his feet under the door, to my knowledge. If he's been there for time and this is his emergence, then fair enough. But they're in no rush to sell him, rightly so. And Brighton have shown they're difficult to do business. We had to pay it's worked out, but we had to pay a premium for Benjamin White. He had one Premier League season to his name when we bought him. But saying that, I'm looking at Matoma, contracted until 2025. What a fair play. He's been there since 2021. He's only played 17 times for them, though. So they could just sell him and get their asset. But at the same time, he might take time. They might take time. Again, it's just like with Napoli. It's just like with Mudryk, where we found out Shakhtar were willing to hold on to the summer. They've got an asset. Arsenal aren't buying anyone. The same old story. They say we wanted Mudryk, but it didn't happen. Let's wait for another transfer. We need depth, but it shouldn't be dropping triple figures for it. Glad we walked away from Mudryk and hope the Rice interest is overblown. We clearly want a left winger. You think Smith Rowe moves to an 8 long term? I do. I don't care what players we are buying. All I need is for the board to bring in new players as soon as possible. Hey, how surprising do you view Odegaard's stats so far this year? Would you be able to believe it if you heard it last summer? Anyone that's been on my channel knows I'm a massive advocate of Martin Odegaard. So I definitely wouldn't have said that he'd be our top goal scorer in the Premier League this season. But not really, because the quality's always been there from him. And long may it continue, my guy. Big up DG. I really want the Europa League and League double. I think we all want it, man. The board don't see that our players are exhausted. They need backup. Saka is exhausted. I'm not privy to the medical information. I don't know. Big up. Oh, I already read that. Shout out South London. I think our style's a good match for City. I'm more worried about United on the counter. I mean, I am worried about United, but I was worried about Spurs on the counter attack. But we did well with that. And you're right. That's a lesson we need to learn from the Old Trafford game. People, get the likes up to 200 and subscribe. Road to 100k. Join the DG Nation. Last year, January transfer cost us top 4. Now they want to repeat again. I'm fed up with this board. Why up until now nothing has been done with Mudryk? The only plan or the player they had in mind, I don't know, but they're going to have to get it done. And I would say you're right, Amro. January was a pivotal moment in our season, and it could have. You saw what it did with Spurs when they brought in Kulusevski and things, but we started the season bad. We dropped stupid points away from home. We bottled it at the tail end of the season. And yeah, we did have to rely on players that weren't good enough, but there's several ingredients as to why our season had some good and bad moments. I don't think in isolation it's just based on that January window, but it did play a pivotal part. He struggled with a work permit. That's why Matoma is playing this season. Zaha, 2-year deal, problem solved. Do you think we'll sign anyone? We only got less than 2 weeks. I hope so. Shout out yourself, Bradley. Appreciate that, man. Shout out DG. Shout out the nation. How life so sweet at the top. What's a better season? Invincible, Europa League, European trophy, and Prem double. Complete bias, Invincible. Henry was there. Vieira was there. Bergkamp was there. we can go for Matoma. Arsenal is the world's fave club, I think, but it's also a club that does not respect the wishes of its fan. We are tired of hearing about Arsenal transfer every time the transfer season comes out. Fair enough, lad. Smash the like button. Big up, DJ. It's interesting hearing that people will take Zaha. It's not in Palace's interest to sell him so late in this window. Palace will be facing a relegation battle. Arsenal need to move sooner. I hear you, but his contract's running down. Would you rather no money or some money? But like you said, the relegation battle, what would you deem is a better thing? Bringing in a replacement for Zaha and needing to adapt, or letting Zaha walk in May at the end of the season helping you? What I would say is maybe not so much now, but it did feel with Elise and Eze, who played different roles. It felt like Palace, they look like they're more, how can I make it make sense? It's like this is the time when they're most able to kind of sell him, where they're kind of the least reliant per se on Zaha. Saying that, obviously he does the bits and pieces. I wouldn't move the boat out for Zaha, but I'd be lying to you lot if I said that, you know, he wouldn't be on a list of targets. As I said, we're probably going to get linked with all these guys again. Rafinha and Zaha because of the history, and one because one's not banging at the moment at his club. The other's contract's running down. Pedro Neto rumours will go full circle sooner rather than later. And obviously, Diaby's been re-brought back in and things. So we'll have to see. Thoughts on Pepe currently? Oh, well, the Brazilian Pepe's been linked with us. But Pepe's the top goal scorer at Nice. I mean, Pepe's an enigma, bro. I think that we'd be here all day, really. I don't think there's one single variable as to why it didn't work out at Arsenal. But one thing I did say when we signed him, I was like, it's a bit concerning because it's only been real 18 months from him. His dad even said it. So I do think he needed to mature up. I don't think Arteta trusts him over 90 minutes. I do think he's got great ability in our squad and things like that. But it's all about the other fragments. I mean, you look at it, when Pepe has a bad game, it's effing terrible. When Saka, Martinelli and Smith Rowe, when they have a quiet game or a bad day, it doesn't go beyond a certain point. Zaha is a bit toxic. How though? I'm not saying you're wrong, but how? Like, where we 79 likes, we're doing atrocious, people. Where did we get this information about him being here? I'm not trying to catch you out. I'm literally just asking, like, how? Somerville looks like me in year 7, but forget that. Ganato looks good. This is hypothetical, DG, but Real Madrid also have Camavinga, Tchouameni, Valverde. Also, I want Bellingham in the summer if there's a possibility. Would you move for Camavinga over Rice and Milinkovic-Savic in the summer? 100%. You know, Real Madrid keep helping us. Real Madrid and City keep selling us a couple players, man. Give us Zaha and Telemans. We need cover to see us through the season. I think we like Telemans, but I don't think our interest is that lit for Telemans, if that makes sense. Like, I think we like him. I think there's an admiration for his talents, and I think Arteta could, you know, want to play with him in his team and things like that. But I don't think it's Telemans or die sort of thing to the Vlahovic's, Rafinha's, Mudryks, and any other Locatelli and any of the ones I'm missing out. This is just me on reflection, because we always hear the same things. For the last 2 years, basically, we've heard rumors that his agents at London Coley talking and things like that. Like, come on now. Telemans is robbed. That is harsh, man. That is very harsh. I wouldn't say robbed. I think he would add a lot, but I don't necessarily think it's a curtain raiser per se. I would like him to do such, but you never know, man. What are you doing? I said, you tell me the transfer of Declan Rice to Arsenal or not. B, first things first, have some effing manners. Second of all, I don't know who you think you're talking to like that. Listen, pattern up yourself, please. Be respectful to everyone. I don't work for you. This live stream is not all just about you. Please have some manners or don't speak. My manners are free in life, you know. Please fix up when you're talking to people like that, man. I will get to the transfer news as I'm about to when I'm good and ready. Not a single soul will rush me. You know, I'm fully operating on DG time. I was on time for this live stream. Like, just for that, back we go. You know, I feel like a teacher. Smash the like button, people. On a serious note, though, let's get into it, man. B, just calm down, man. Calm down. Love Zaha, but his on-pitch complaining is a bit too much sometimes. Still want it, bro. I want that, bro. He's got a positive chip on his shoulder. I'm here for it, man. One thing I like about Arsenal now is we're not a bunch of pussycats again now. Like, guys are on this. Like, Xhaka's having to be held back by Arteta. Ramsdale's on the S-housery. You need to be nasty. People forget the Invincibles were nasty. You know, we're on playing football. But the minute you try to kick us and do some certain efferys, we're back. And obviously, one thing that has pained me in this Emirates, and it's gone too far, is these connotations of Arsenal being soft, of Arsenal being, not being with the rough and tumble things, to the point where Diaby, Eduardo, plenty of players, Ramsey, plenty of players have had their leg bust. Plenty of players have been on the receiving end on some nothing short of fuggish tackles sort of thing. So I like the fact we're like that. You've got to be a bit nasty in this life and in football, man. So yeah, it is what it is. How good is this DRB? Some people just too rude, man. Too rude. Just settle, man. I feel like Arsenal need to go all in for K. I mean, I would love him, but you need probably 100 million to get the conversation started with Napoli. So we'll have to see how that one develops, people. But yeah, enough rambling. Where is the first one? I mean, I covered this again. Make sure you're there, people. I kind of condensed it in a shorter video to come out at 2 p.m. Smash the like button on that, people. But hopefully for the final time today in relation to Mudryk and Arsenal. Why is this not working? Yeah, just share the Chrome tab, man. Sorry about that, folks. But yeah, I've been over this already, but allegedly the CEO of Shakhtar has been speaking. Why Mudryk joined Chelsea and not Arsenal? As we know, Chelsea poached Mudryk from under the noses of Premier League leaders and London rivals Arsenal over the weekend. At 100 million euros in brackets, 88.7 million pounds and $108.2 million. The deal is a record for a Ukrainian player and for Shakhtar the next who sold him. I mean, Mudryk, shout out to you, but I hope you end up like Shevchenko at Chelsea. Simple as that. Here's how the Shakhtar chief executive Sergei Pulkin tells the Athletic's Adam Crafton in bullet points how Arsenal made the first contact with the player in October or November last year, a month before their interest was formalized with Shakhtar, that the two clubs offered the same amount for Mudryk, but the add-ons built into Chelsea's bid were more achievable and realistic, while Shakhtar suspected a sale might get pushed back until the summer, until Chelsea's interest crystallized last week. And we've kind of been over several of these things. At some point, Arsenal had to be able to walk away and have contingency plans. At some point, Shakhtar have to say sometimes no deal is better than a deal, and they would hold on to him to the summer and either risk his price fluctuating or not. In hindsight, the bid was probably never as close as some of us were led to believe by these journalists. Maybe Chelsea played a game of poker. They took a backseat, let Arsenal kind of deal with Shakhtar. Let us see exactly what Shakhtar want, and then they've come in and said, we're Arsenal and acting up. We'll look after you people, really and truly. Probably will hijack it, mate. But until then, it is what it is. Keep your opinions coming. I'll circle back, people. So, yeah, we've heard money's been invested into the Ukraine-Russia war. We've heard Chelsea are asking to play a friendly with Shakhtar. But allegedly, a lot of supporters of Premier League clubs are fascinated by this transfer. It looked like Mudryk would go to Arsenal, but then in the space of 24 hours, he joined Chelsea. Smash the like button, people. Subscribe if you haven't. Keep your opinions coming. When did you realize Chelsea would be the destination? I realized 2 days ago, in brackets Saturday, when Chelsea arrived here with the co-owner and director of global of talent and transfers. They came to Antalya in Turkey. Obviously, that's where Shakhtar are stationed. Before Chelsea arrived, I did not know they were close because I communicated with Arsenal in the same way as I had with Chelsea. Even I can tell you more. I met Arsenal more times than Chelsea. Therefore, before this last meeting, Arsenal was close or a little bit closer to this deal than Chelsea. Nothing's done until it's done. Until you've dotted I's and crossed T's, especially in a world of business, nothing is done then. We've hijacked deals. Chelsea have hijacked deals. These things happen. How many times did you meet Arsenal? If you don't count telephone conversations, it was 3 times. So if we met 3 times, Chelsea's met less, then it's all about the impact of the conversation. From our conversations with sources close to the deal, the impression I have is that Arsenal were confident. Whenever Arsenal are confident, just like with these Declan Rice things, it makes me think, oof. Arsenal were confident that you would have found a compromise with them. And we have even seen the player himself on social media watching Arsenal matches. What, in your view, changed things? Was it the willingness of Chelsea to fly to Turkey and meet the figure? From my point of view, this is why everybody talked about Arsenal. It is because Arsenal contacted the player almost 1.5 months before they contacted us. That happens in football. Chelsea do it, Arsenal do it, United do it. Every flipping Premier League team does that in relation to transfers at this level and at youth level. You reach out to his advisors, or if you know his mum, his dad, any sort of contact, engage. Do you want to sign for Arsenal? How much would you be interested in joining to Arsenal? And then from there, clubs will do what they're doing. So that's nothing new in football. And he said, can you imagine, for example, to have the head coach, Mikel Arteta, Zinchenko, and the sporting director calling you, to have Arsenal calling you almost every day, every 2 days, every 3 days. You can want or not want the move, but you follow this kind of reception and contacts. If you talk about Chelsea, they called me at the end of December and asked if they can contact Mudryk because they are interested in him and want to talk with him. I said, no problem, you can contact him. The first time they contacted him was around the end of December or the start of January. They contacted the player and the agent of the player, and they met the financial conditions. Therefore, why did many people around it have the impression that Mudryk was going to Arsenal? Is because Arsenal contacted him, and then Mudryk started to watch some games of Arsenal. But negotiations are negotiations, and he then started doing chattings. When you didn't close everything, when you did not close the last dot, then you cannot finish the deal. Therefore, it was just an outsized visual impression that Mudryk to Arsenal is close. And for the David Ornsteins, for the Ben Jacobs, for the Con Marble Halls, for the AFC Camdens, they're not catching anyone out. And all these other journalists, essentially, it's guess what? Nobody knows. Unless you're part of this love triangle with the Chelsea executives, the Arsenal or Shakhtar or Mudryk people, you don't actually know. Were any other clubs close to the deal? There were some contacts, but not serious. It was just 2 clubs. Zaha is a winner with the right passion. Hear that right now, Palace are struggling and staying up is worth more than selling him. He'll leave as a Palace legend. I hear that. Zinchenko is the best Ukrainian in the league. I hear that. Interesting comments, man. Arsenal should get business done as soon as possible. I'm sure in an ideal world, they would love to, man. They would love to. Still loving the vibes from beating the scum in their own backyard. Amen. I know we walked away, but it makes Edu look bad. But then again, Edu doesn't win. You spend bare peas on this guy and the expectation, and he doesn't score 1 million goals a game. Fans are going to have something to say, really. But it does leave Arteta short-handed. As we've said, Arteta's job in this is just to talk to Mudryk and see his willingness, which it looked like he would. For Edu and his advisors, I'm not saying they're right, I'm not saying they're wrong, but fundamentally the deal hasn't happened. That's all I care about. The deal ain't happened. What we're doing now, because Arteta has spoken about maximizing the window, about the need for bodies, about the need for depth. When we was walking into January, we heard Kroenke this, or Edu that, league title this. We're trying to sign a couple. Things are easier said than done. But we'll have to see. So it comes down to Edu's, how good at negotiating is Edu? What is his contact list look like? And what can he, what miracle can he perform before the window shuts? Did you ask Arsenal whether it was right for them to contact the player before they spoke to the club? Normally, clubs can make a complaint when that happens, and only when you take it too far. But that happens in football. Like literally, we've done that with a few young players that we've signed. Clubs have done that with a few young players we've left. And I'm telling you that for fact. When I met Arsenal and they mentioned they had already, and that could even be happening right now with a certain player. When I met Arsenal and they mentioned that they had already talked to the player and they had contacted the player, to be honest, I knew beforehand that they had started to contact him. I said, okay, you start to contact him, but first of all, you should close it with us. But okay, we have what we have. And that's true. You can chat to him, but you've got to, and we've said this before, Mudryk can talk about, can put all the social medias he wants. All the journalists can say what they want. Arsenal can say what they want. If you have not agreed to sign the player, he is ultimately not your player. They didn't make a complaint to FIFA. And, they'll probably have a good relationship with Chelsea. Our understanding is that in the final offers from the 2 clubs, the total figures were basically the same, but the difference was the speed of payments. Is that correct? Overall, it was the same, not approximately the same. It was the same figure. So it's not the same. The fixed part, variable part, bonuses. But if you look inside the fixed part and bonuses, it was completely different. Clearly, Chelsea's were more attractive and more attainable than ours. And then he was asked on in what way. He said different time, schedule of payments, different kind of bonuses. Yes, we can talk about bonuses, but these bonuses should be somehow achievable and realistic. So maybe Arsenal's weren't. Therefore, in this case, Chelsea was much more serious and fair in some points. When we met Chelsea, we all stayed together. For you to understand the context, it was for 9 or 10 hours. They invited the player and explained to us the whole project. We realized that, yes, if you look right now, Chelsea have some kind of problems, but it's normal because they have a transitional period from one owner to another. It's understandable. They would like to change a lot. So when they explain to you the whole story and you look for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, then you have a serious project. I believe they'll build one of the best teams in the world. I mean, if Chelsea are not trying to do that, why would they stop what you're doing, innit? Because I'm telling you, they are very serious in all directions, sports science, the stadium side, the commercial side, on all things. For us, they look very ambitious. Our information is that the Chelsea deal includes add-ons if they win the Premier League or Champions League. Is that accurate? Of course it is. There is no clause in the Chelsea contract relating to the Ballon d'Or. Apparently there's no deadline. Again, has an 8-year contract or 7.5 with an option of another year. Did Mudryk ever say to you, let me leave in January, or would he have waited until the summer? And I mean, if again, it wasn't Chelsea or bust for Mudryk. Arsenal became the thing, but he was linked with a bunch of clubs and he did say, I want to leave. So there was clearly more willingness or encouragement from Mudryk or his advisors to get this deal done. I don't expect him to do it, because if Arsenal don't agree with Shakhtar, they were prepared to wait for him until the end of the season, and then you're missing out on your next career step. But if he, for argument's sake, said, Chelsea, I'm not interested in any way, shape, or form. Chelsea, no matter how much bread they're putting down, it's a myth. So there was evidently more encouragement than initially led to believe. We had no detailed discussions with Mudryk. He was professional. He did not push us. He did not want to meet us to ask why we had not sold him or complain he had not been sold for 50, 60 million euros. We just said we are running negotiations. We want to help you, and we believe that we'll finalize it. So just relax, train properly, and that's it. There was no pressure from his side or the agent side. Maybe you even saw his agent do an interview to say Mudryk is professional, training well, and that they respect he belongs to Shakhtar. Obviously, he's going to speak to Graham Potter people. And obviously, as I said, people, there's things written into their contract in relation to Ukraine. And he did speak about how the president, or well, the co-owner of Chelsea was talking with one of their presidents, and he's American. You know, they say keep football out of politics. I wish that was reserved for everyone. He said, Bear Dad supports Ukraine a lot because he's American and it's an English club. So for us, this is a positive triangle because when you say England and Ukraine, it is important for our war support at this time. I thought you could have mixed politics with football. Careful. You know, Rashford tries to feed kids that can't afford anything, and, you know, he's told to focus on football. So it'd be lovely if everything, not interchangeable, but if this was extended to everything. They spoke very well and shook hands. I know because I translated it. I like the conversation very much. And I believe that it does not matter if it's in the contract or not. It was Bedad who proposed the friendly because he wanted to help Ukraine, to help Ukrainian refugees and support Ukrainian people. For us, this match in the nets would be like a miracle. Obviously, there's some financial things as well. We offered 50k to Mudryk. We were asking to get hijacked. No, I think that's a very fair offer. Not going to lie, I feel like we missed out on Mudryk because I genuinely think he'll be a top player. He could be a bit, he could be that, man. He could be that. Let him do his thing. But with us, it's irrelevant. Things go on, man. Are you going to sign Rafinha and Rice in January? I don't work for Arsenal, probably not, man. Don't know. This is the main reason they sold it to Chelsea. They made it political. Tired of all these rumors. Can we sign someone already? Those Shakhtar talks just remind me that until the club has given a shirt number on their website, it's just tabloid talk. And it's true. It's completely different. Remember when we signed Aaron Ramsey? Man United actually agreed a deal. He was posted on their site, and then we got involved. So these things happen. Makes me wish where Arsene Wenger was back, man. That's when we, you know, all the players would say, oh, yeah, Wenger came to my house and he started talking to me. Does Lokonga have a future at Arsenal, in your opinion? Well, I mean, if he doesn't improve significantly, it's looking brazy, isn't it? So, yeah, man. Scrolling all the way down, well, again, more money is going to relevant parties in Ukraine. From the wider reporting, it appeared that Arsenal made a final offer on Thursday or Friday. Did you speak to Arsenal to tell them it was all done with Chelsea? Before Chelsea arrived in Turkey, we almost agreed with Arsenal that there was no chance to close the deal. So, again, we would have been left short-handed if Chelsea weren't involved anyways. When they proposed the final offer, and maybe in hindsight, all this talk about Chelsea unable to hijack it and we're the front runners. Maybe it was a game. Maybe Shakhtar was playing Arsenal, really. So we'll never know. When they proposed the final offer of 70 million euros plus 30 million euros in add-ons, we sat down and started to talk internally about how it would be fulfilled in terms of payments. The fixed part and the bonuses issue, we realized we will not close this deal with Arsenal. I said to Edu that I did my best, but it was not possible. Was there a relief when Chelsea came? When Chelsea arrived, they just called and said, okay, we know you negotiated with Arsenal. We know you're close with some kind of the figures. We want to meet. I said, okay, let's meet. I told Mudryk, if I do not sell you in the winter, we'll definitely sell you in the summer. Maybe you will cost even more in the summertime. We were ready to accept different scenarios. We would not be rushed. Again, because you control the power. He then said, so while meeting Chelsea, did you need to keep a poker face to say Arsenal are still involved? But this is football world. This football world is quite close. I know for sure that everybody knows what is going on. From the Arsenal side, Chelsea side, these kind of negotiations involve a lot of people. A lot of journalists are around it too. A lot of guys who can provide some kind of info. So everyone knows what's going on. So, yeah, man, and then I don't really care for it, but he's talking about what it means for Ukrainian football. Big up Ukraine and that, but it's for Chelsea, you know, I don't give a flying monkeys, really. Away from that, though, apparently Arsenal plot move for West Ham captain Declan Rice as confidence of summer deal grows. I mean, anytime I see this confidence thing, I get shook. But Arsenal are planning a summer move for West Ham midfielder Declan Rice and are growing in confidence that a deal can be done. Rice's contract expires in the summer of 2024, and the 24-year-old has so far rejected 3 offers to extend his stay in East London. Chelsea, Manchester City, and Manchester United have all previously registered an interest in the midfielder, with Chelsea initially exploring a potential transfer in the summer of 2020. Again, apparently Arsenal are now increasingly current Premier League leaders, Arsenal, current Premier League leaders, Arsenal are now increasingly optimistic of beating their Premier League rivals to the 80 million rated England international. He is keen to compete for trophies and play in the Champions League. And in the December around the World Cup, he did say 100%, I want to play in the Champions League. For the last 2 or 3 years, I've been saying that. I've been playing consistently well for my club, and I feel like I really want to keep pushing. I see my friends here who are playing Champions League and for big trophies. West Ham would not entertain a departure this month, but have conceded internally they will have to sell him this summer. Rice's contract contains a 1-year option, but London Stadium chiefs believe this summer is their last chance to earn a sizable fee for the midfielder. I mean, you could spend that. I mean, I'm not really convinced on Declan Rice as an 8, as a 6 grade. So you spend 60, 70, 80 on that. I hope we bring in another 8. You still need to address up front. Probably still need to bring in a wide man. And I'd imagine in the summer, Arteta gets a defender as well. So, you know, are we going to raise some funds via outgoings? Are we going to get a war chest? How, you know, Declan Rice is not going to come cheap. And as we've seen with João Felix, with Mudryk, with Vlahovic, with Locatelli, with Douglas Luiz, with Pedro Neto, with Rafinha, when it's these high profile ones, it comes down to, are you going to put the bread down or not? If you're not, cool, find a replacement. So, yeah, man. Again, people, the same sort of articles are coming out. West Ham resigned to losing Arsenal target Declan Rice, but will demand over 100 million. I like Declan Rice, and I think at 24, there's scope to grow. Premier League proven, English, good player technically. You know, makes me a lot comfortable if Partey's not there. We do need to address midfield. I don't, as much as I love what Xhaka and Partey and then they bring, they're not going to be here forever. We've got longevity in defense and in attack, not quite in the midfield. The one player we do is Lokonga, and we don't know what he's on. Yes, you've got Odegaard, Zinchenko, Smith Rowe, Fabio Vieira, who can play as 8s, and they're all doing other things. So, yeah, we all know apparently the England international has rejected several offers of a new deal, people, that would have made him the best player at the London Stadium. West Ham have privately accepted they'll have to sell at the end of the campaign, or else missing out on a major windfall on a player who joined their academy as a 14-year-old after being released by Chelsea. Player that I knew at 14, funny enough, actually, because he used to play with a couple of guys, used to play for my team in the younger years. So it is what it is. Apparently, Chelsea got money to buy everyone. And again, allegedly, Chelsea, previously seen as favourites, have cooled their interest as they focus on Enzo Fernandez and Brighton's Moses Caicedo. Chelsea have shown they'll buy anyone. Manchester United's need for a holding midfielder has lessened following the signing of Casemiro. I mean, they could still do with him, though. And obviously, Man City have Calvin Phillips and Rodri. But maybe if they say, you know what, Calvin Phillips on loan some money, or Calvin Phillips permanently, Rice could go and do that. We'll have to see, man. It's not that I don't believe it. It's I need to see it. Only 3 players have made 40-plus tackles and been dribbled past fewer than 10 times in the Premier League. That's Onana of Everton, Declan Rice of West Ham, and Moses Caicedo of Brighton. They could all be, 2 of them could be at Chelsea one day. So it is what it is, people. He's going to cost a lot of money, man. Arsenal make him, their priority target. We'll have to see. And it's not that I doubt it, but I mean, we've just lost out on Mudryk. Now this news about a household name is coming out. I'm not doubting the credibility, but the timing makes me feel a bit, has this just been put out to kind of keep Arsenal fans sweet? Arsenal have made Declan Rice their top summer target and are growing in confidence that deal can be done. Could be as confident as we want, as we was allegedly with Mudryk, people, where it has to happen. Allegedly, people, Arsenal have made initial contact with Bayern Leverkusen over Moussa Diaby. Club reluctant to sell mid-season. Everyone's reluctant to sell everybody mid-season, people. So we'll have to see. Finally, on Declan Rice, before we continue, people, keep smashing the like button. Keep your opinions coming. Romano said, I'm told that nothing will be decided now for Rice, also because the player is not leaving in January as things stand. But for sure, Arsenal have an interest, as has been reported, and they discussed Declan internally. He's appreciated by many clubs, including Chelsea. But again, it will take time to see where Declan will go. No discussions have taken place on the player's side yet. And as you know, while they have an option to extend his deal, he is contracted until 2024. And I don't think there won't be I don't think a single top 6 side will not be interested to at least see if there's a feasibility in bringing the England international to their place. So we'll have to see exactly how that one there develops, people. And again, once again, Gary Jacobs has said Arsenal have made Declan Rice their top target this summer and are growing in confidence they can beat Chelsea to his signature. Bayern Leverkusen forward Moussa Diaby is a topic at Arsenal. The 23-year-old Frenchman is still under contract with the Bundesliga side until 2025, so it should be an expensive deal. And because he's someone that a lot of people want, they rejected over 50 million from Newcastle. We all know Arsenal are desperate for an attacker. And I'm not really convinced on Diaby. I'll be real. I like him. I think he's a very talented lad. I think if Arteta's convinced on his talent ID and he can make him play to a higher level consistently, I'm all for it. There's a lot to like, but Yeah, I'm not 100% convinced. I'm like 90% convinced. And it's the 10% I'm a bit more concerned about. Going back to Declan Rice, as you know, part of the reason Arsenal were unwilling, well, just in general, part of the reason Arsenal were unwilling to match Chelsea's bid for Mudryk in this transfer window is because they knew that paying over the odds for a player would have an impact on their summer spending plans. The Arsenal executives have long preferred to do business in the summer window, believing it to be a better time to find value for money and embed players into Mikel Arteta's system. That's right. That's great. And I'm sure every club agrees with that. You think Chelsea want to be doing what they're doing in the market at this current moment in time? January's reactive, injuries, players leaving, all of these things shift the dynamics. Had we have brought a centre mid or a winger in, probably wouldn't do any business this Jan. Or I think we'd probably just go for a centre back. So who knows, people? Arsenal are interested in signing Moussa Diaby after missing out on Mudryk to Chelsea. Let's see, people. He's got 2.5 years left on his deal. Arsenal reportedly interested in signing Bayern Leverkusen winger Moussa Diaby as Mikel Arteta looks to bolster his squad ahead of his side's title push. The Gunners have been linked with Diaby in the past and could swoop for the Frenchman as they look to move on from the disappointment of losing their top target Mudryk to Chelsea. Again, the highly rated Shakhtar, the next forward that looked destined for North London, but the Blues swooped in and completed the £88.6 million deal. Smashed the like button, people, with the 22-year-old penning an 8.5-year contract. Having been frustrated by Mudryk snubbing the Gunners, Arteta has turned his attention to Diaby, according to Sky Germany. He can play on either flank, people. He's been in the Bundesliga since 2019. He has 43 goals and 41 assists across 146 appearances. He has 8 caps for France, people. He's contracted until 2025. And it said here, which will only increase the fee, and it's mid-season. Apparently, Barcelona have slapped a 100 million price tag on Rafinha, which makes that a myth, people. Apparently, you know, Laporte was willing to negotiate a transfer package for Rafinha, who only joined in July. Myth. Leave that one alone. Further confirmation of allegedly going for the Diaby, people. I think Fernando Torres has been speaking as well. This was someone that it feels like everything's going full circle. Arsenal in transfer talks with Orlando City's Fernando Torres. Scrolling down to what the man himself said, people. Orlando City confirmed to me that there was contact with Arsenal, but then I left for the World Cup and I didn't want to hear about a potential transfer at that point. So the conversation stayed there. But now that I'm back with the team, we'll see where the conversation goes. I'd love to play in Europe. It's a dream I've had since I was a kid. At the moment, I am focused on Orlando City, but La Liga or the Premier League would be my targets. And that's where the rumors are coming from. But yeah, I would absolutely love that, people. Apparently, he emerged as a standout star throughout the 2022 season, which saw him lead Orlando City to the US Open title. He signed with the club from Penarol last January for a club record fee, and it didn't take him long for him to adjust to MLS, as he has 9 goals and 10 assists in 33 appearances, people. So we'll have to see, people. MLS clubs are just beginning pre-season, with Orlando set to open their campaign on February the 25th. Obviously, he's had a World Cup, which he hasn't played in, but what's his physical conditioning if we signed him then? I think this just echoes the exact same thing. We've seen this report already, people, but Arsenal contact Barcelona over Rafinha and Ferran Torres. Arsenal have made contact with Barcelona to explore deals for Rafinha and Ferran Torres. 90 Minutes understands. The Gunners had been keen to sign a winger since the summer, when they initially failed with a bid to persuade Rafinha to stay in England. The Brazilian left Leeds United for Barca, also rejecting Chelsea in the process. We all know it didn't work out with Mudryk. With the pursuit of Mudryk slowing down over the past week, sources have confirmed to 90 Minute, where anyone can just type sources, have confirmed to 90 Minute that Arsenal director Edu reached out to Barcelona as part of his search for alternatives. Both Rafinha and Torres were discussed, with Arsenal understood to have held exploratory talks over a number of possible alternatives to Mudryk. Now, with their top targets heading elsewhere, Arsenal are prepared to step up their interest in other targets to finally address their limited depth in wide areas. This article then went on to say, people, Barcelona are known to be keen to trim their wage budget to allow them to make further signings, and Arsenal have inquired about as to whether either Rafinha or Torres could be available before the end of the January transfer window. 90 Minute understands Arsenal have also explored a possible move for Leandro Trossard, who has demanded an exit from the club this month and is seen as a more attainable target than Mitoma, who is also of interest to the Gunners, and we've seen firsthand what he's on. Meanwhile, Arsenal are also among the sides to be monitoring Napoli sensation. Sorry, where's the all coming part? Kvaratskhelia, I can't say his name, KK, who has been made, no disrespect, who has been made unavailable for transfer and is likely to cost in excess of 100 million if he ever does leave Naples. I mean, I think they'd easily get over 100 million. And if you know, I'd pay 100 million for him. 100 million for him, and what if West Ham want 80 million for Declan Rice? 180 on two players, which is about quality over quantity. They both boost the side, but maybe there's some negotiations. Where Rafinha is concerned, 1 minute he wants to stay at Barcelona, then he's open to leaving, then Laporte wants to get rid, then he don't, then Xavi's convinced, then he's not. Who knows, people, really and truly? Nobody. In that regards, people. Arsenal know they need and want to recruit this month. Felix was an opportunity and they were planning for Mudryk, got neither. They haven't been pursuing alternatives nor other deals on the back burner, but it doesn't mean they can't explore new opportunities. That's true, David Orn's team, but I think the Mudryk thing has shown that some obviously have sources, but it's essentially guesswork. You know, again, whether we sign someone or not's another thing. But do we really think, you know, with all the money that's being spent and all these individuals, whether you think they're competent at their jobs or not, you really think they weren't pursuing alternatives or there's not things in the back burners? Whether them back burners come to the front is another thing, people. So I'm not too sure I necessarily agree with that. We've been linked with Fresnadar, people who are, Arsenal have been joined by Manchester United as well as Newcastle United in the pursuit of his signature. Apparently, people, the Napoli forward dubbed Caradonna, a one-to-way Brighton star, and a Barcelona player who only moved to Spain last year. 5 wingers Arsenal could go for after missing out on top target Madrid. Let's humour ourselves and see what's going on. You don't even look happy, lad. Pussy. There's Rafinha, people, 100 million. Forget about that. Leandro Trossard seems fairly attainable. It might not be the favourite, but it could be something that you could do, people. According to his agent, he wants a move. And they've had a falling out in relation to Trossard and the gaffer, criticising the player's attitude and work rate since returning from the World Cup with Belgium. Attitude and work rate central to Mikel Arteta's system. That wouldn't make me happy. Arsenal said to be interested in profiting from his desires to leave, but will face stiff competition from London rivals Tottenham and Chelsea. Spurs have made a verbal offer in the region of 12 million, according to The Athletic, while Chelsea could be set to raid Brighton again. As you know, Trossard's contract expires at the end of the season, though the Seagulls are understood to have an option to extend his contract by 12 months. We just spoke about Moussa Diaby, people. It's going to cost a lot of money. He's valued at 75 million, which is probably more attainable. Rafa Leao's contract's running down. He said he does like watching Arsenal. He is doing all right. Bit of Serie A tax, but bring the 23-year-old. He's wavy, really, but probably going to occupy that left-hand side, people. Apparently, his current deal at the San Siro runs until 2024, and apparently he has slammed fake news claiming early this month, which suggested he is demanding $8.5 million a year to stay in Milan. They just convinced former Arsenal player, and some would probably want him back, people, Benassia, to sign a new deal. So we have to see. We've been linked with the Napoli Don. It comes down to putting the bread down. You know, Napoli are chasing the Scudetto. They know they've got they're chasing the Scudetto. They know they've got an appreciating asset who has just signed for the football club. They know that the Premier League has money, and the more he keeps playing better, the more his price goes up. And they will have to find such as the scouting. They've probably got the new him before he's even had time to do anything. But they'd have to find players, and it has a knock-on effect. January's a reactive window, so it's up to you, if you want to believe half of these things, people. But yeah, to kind of round up the transfer a bit of this, people. Once again, Arsenal are keeping tabs on Mitoma, allegedly. We're eyeing a move for Declan Rice in the summer. Arsenal are ready to launch 71 million Vlahovic bid. Arsenal are now ready to launch a formal bid for long-standing striker target Vlahovic after missing out on Mudryk. It's not working out at Juventus, and we could offer 71 million allegedly for him to leave the San Siro, leave the Turin. We've been told it's 100 million for Rafinha. We've entered the race for Fresnadar, the young right back. Arthur Okonkwo has left Crewe and joined Stuttgart in the Austrian Bundesliga on loan. Best of luck to him, Brooke Norton, Coffey, and Miguel Aziz, who have all joined Stuttgart, Wigan, and Coventry, respectively. Once again, Rafinha BS. And then, I don't feel like there's anything else. So we're just going to have to watch that space. Please make sure you're smashing the like button and all of that good things, people. In fact, no, why have I put my screen back with you lot, please? Not that. Put me back over here. For what it's worth, allegedly, Raheem Sterling, not Chelsea. Oh, it's a solid, innit? But some people would probably say forget about it. Chelsea are already willing to listen to Raheem Sterling transfer offers despite winger only joining last summer. Chelsea are already willing to listen to offers for Raheem Sterling despite the England starter, I think it means, only joining in the summer, it's claimed. They signed him for 50 million. He's 28 years of age. He's going to have to be one of the highest earners at Arsenal. We've worked with him before. I always thought when he left City, he would go abroad. I don't know if that's still a thing. Obviously, you can stay in London and that. We've wanted you since your QPR days. I don't know. Chelsea are still looking to sign Noni Madueke and all these things. He signed a 5-year deal. I don't know if this is just nonsense, but who knows? Apparently, they're willing to let him leave. You know, would you really want to let a household Premier League player leave for someone that's played 44 times for Shakhtar? I don't know. I'm just providing talking points. For what it's worth, I'd have the conversation, but I wouldn't give Sterling what he wants in terms of wages. I mean, if Chelsea want their 50 million back, they're moving mad. Chelsea willing to listen to Raheem Sterling offers as 250 plus January signing spree lined up. Chelsea will listen to offers for Raheem Sterling after their astonishing Mudryk ambush. Blah, blah, blah. Where's the Raheem Sterling part, people? But it's probably because it ain't been working out. And he signed a 5-year deal with an option of 12 months. So essentially a 6-year deal. But that will not stop the leadership letting him go. He has failed to make an impact expected at the London Giants or London Cowboys. I mean, you're playing him right wing. What do you think is going to happen, people? Although he is far from alone in that regards. Again, not a single attacking player is thriving. Sterling has been a key player under Graham Potter and Tommy Tuchel with 14 Premier League starts as well as starts in all 6 of the Champions League group stage games. So it just feels like paper nonsense, really and truly. And it doesn't say there's anything credible. And it doesn't actually say Raheem Sterling wants to keep it moving from Chelsea. So I guess you have to look at these sort of things with a pinch of salt, essentially, folks, really, if I'm completely honest with you. So we'll have to see how that one there develops. Sorry, folks, but I still Arsenal. Yeah, it all depends where you're going for that, man. They really did go in for that Mudryk guy. Let me see what your comments are saying, people. Skipped out bare of you, man. Would you recall Balogun if you're Arteta? Probably not. This guy's on some weird shit, man. I just can't imagine someone from the MLS saying they don't want to know about a transfer to the Prem regardless of the World Cup. But it doesn't help you. You should, obviously, you leave that to your advisors and you focus on what you need to focus on. Kay, shout out to you. Rice, if Chelsea want him, will go. We should go for Chelsea's targets. Problem is they don't have any. They just pre-Arsenal. Rice dreaming of Eddie Nketiah's mum's Jollof. 70 million for him is steep, though. In today's market, I'd say he's worth that. South, but yes, his contract length makes it high. DG, what's your view on cutting Sambi Lokonga's loan and bringing him to the carpet as competition for Eddie Nketiah and Jesus? I'm not sure. Lokonga's not on loan to my knowledge. What about Morata? What about him? Could never be for Arsenal. We've already seen that. We need to be acting. I don't know what you're saying there. Can we please make sure our sentences are making sense? Are you going to sign Rafinha and Rice in January? You're asking the wrong guy, my guy. You're asking the wrong guy. You're asking the wrong guy. Shout out S, big up DG. Why stories coming out about Rice in the summer when we need signings now? Also, don't believe the Rice hype. He's been a lifelong Chelsea supporter. Don't see it. I hear that. I wonder what it feels like to be a player and not see any reinforcements coming to win the league. Do you start to feel a burden mentally? I mean, you just got to keep doing what you're doing. Transfers is not you, but you know, Sunday, if you play Sunday league level, you know if your keeper's not good enough, if you need another striker or something like that. It is what it is. We should go for Jesper Limstrong from Frankfurt. That guy is a baller. He has decent pace, can pick up passes, dribble, can play on the wing and give Odegaard competition, and he can take set pieces. DG, great stream as ever. You have the right to block idiots without an apology. Thank you for your continuous commitment for the fans. Smash the like, people. Culture appreciative. Thank you very much, man. Do you think we will now need to pay more for whatever player we go for, given every club owner and their dog now know we are dying to sign someone to help and secure the Prem for us? Jason, you're going to have to overpay, especially in January. You're going to have to do it. You could argue we overpaid at the time for Ramsdale, for Benjamin White, for a couple of players. But, you know, you're going to have to do that. As long as you do that and they fit into the team and fundamentally they play well, I don't think there's a single soul out there who really cares, ideally. Balogun. I mean, as I said earlier, my guy, I think everything should be available for Balogun, really. Just focus on what you need to do for Reims. You owe it to them to focus. Let's see what you're on in pre-season, innit? Couple of weeks in pre-season. See if Arteta wants to use him because we're doing this youngster thing. It all depends on if we're bringing in a winger or a striker. There's only so many attacking players you could have on the bench. And I think everything should be open for Balogun. Staying at the club, trying to break in and, fight with Eddie Nketiah, and Jesus and everybody else. Maybe going out on loan again, staying at his current club or joining a stronger team, either in France or elsewhere. Or, if Inter and AC Milan rumours are to be believed, if selling him for 30, 40 odd million can be put towards a transfer kitty for us to punch a bit for our targets, then it's a means to an end. DG, which youth footballer impressed you the most and will be a future first team player? In my opinion, Juventus friendly match, I was impressed with Moussa Diaby. I see him as a first team player. I don't know about anything. You need a lot of variables, but I think Moussa Diaby has a good chance. I think Ethan Nwaneri has a good chance. You know, Miles as well. I think Miles, Ethan, for me, Miles, Ethan, Charlie, if I had to put money to it. Brooke, I think Brooke Norton-Coffey has a great chance. I just think if we bring in another right back and you've got Tomiyasu and Benjamin White, even though he's only 19, it's a myth. And I just feel with what Mikel Arteta demands of his fullbacks, I don't think he's got that in him at this moment in time. Take Alanga for what? Has he got flavours? Of course, I still watch the under-21s and kind of just alluded to. Everybody looks good, man. I'm not the guy. I'm just someone who follows Arsenal's youth footballers. I'm not the guy to ask on who's going to be the guy or what. No, I don't know anything, man. Appreciate the questions, though. Look at the bro, man. Shout out you lot, people. So, yeah, man, keep your thoughts coming. Again, let's spin the block for some more Arsenal news. Come on, man. Lie to us. Tell us Jude Bellingham's in North London for a medical. It's something to lift the mood. Change that to an hour. Kulusevski's told his teammates to pick themselves up for the season. Kulusevski, you're in the wrong shirt, mate. Have you signed permanently? For Spurs? Has Kulusevski signed permanently for Spurs? Because that is something audacious I would like to see. You're an Arsenal fan, lad. Apparently, we wanted you last Jan, lad. Pardon me. You're still on loan. How's this obligation thing, bang? He was sent on an 18-month loan to Tottenham. The loan deal was, worth 10 million and included an option for purchase, which would become an obligation under certain conditions met for an additional fee of 35 million. In the day and age, Spurs have flunked a lot of money. 45 million from his lit. I mean, if there was some way of bringing Kulusevski at 22, make it happen, innit? Really? That's someone that'd be great, but you can't get him now. What do these conditions mean? Arsenal make contact with Bayern Leverkusen over possible transfer for France winger. Arsenal make contact with Bayern Leverkusen over France international winger Moussa Diaby after missing out on Mudryk to Chelsea. Arsenal also keeping tabs on Rafinha, though the Brazilian is unlikely to move in January. Leverkusen do not want to sell the 23-year-old mid-season, having quoted 100 million euros, 88.5 to interested clubs. So, yeah, we'll have to see, man. He's got 19 goals since the start of last season, 15 assists, big chances created. He's second in that league with 25. Take-ons, he's second with 169. Attempted through balls, he's fourth with 18. Arsenal clearly want to bolster their front line this January, and the position where they need the most attention is the right wing. Well, yeah, left wing's a bit more open season, but any winger that can't, you can have your favourite position, but if you can't play on the left or the right, I don't want you. Competition and backup are needed for Saka, who was overused last season as Arsenal dropped out of the Champions League places at the end of the season. This season, again, he has barely been given a rest by Mikel Arteta, as there's not much behind him in terms of cover. Fabio Vieira could play in that right wing role, but is predominantly a central player, while teenage winger Marquinhos has only been trusted with 1 minute of Premier League football all season and has started just one game since the middle of October. Had we have got Mudryk or a winger in, that guy needs to go on loan. The RB shares plenty of characteristics with Saka, which makes many feel like that this interest in the Bayern Leverkusen winger is to help support the England attacker. Two-footed, I'm not sure, but the two-footed Frenchman has the most chances created via carrying the ball with 29 in the Bundesliga this season, while his simpler statistics are promising as well. Only Bayern Munich's Thomas Müller has more assists and big chances created in Germany's top flight since the start of last season. Then Diaby is certainly good company. As great as Müller is, he's a pensioner, so what's going on there? Moussa Diaby is an electric player who provides a lot of pace. Key passes is one of his better traits, along with carrying the ball, but he predominantly plays on the right-hand side. Looking at his stats, he has scored 6 goals in 14 from playing on the right, but when he's played anywhere else, he only has 1 from 10. That tells me that his best position is on the right-hand side, and Saka is the player in that position. He's Arsenal's number 1 man. If Arsenal signs someone like Diaby, he may not be playing in that position, so would you be getting the best out of him? And this is where you've got to take him to the next level. Arsenal were looking at Mudryk, who plays on the left predominantly. We were talking about Ferran Torres or Rafinha. I think someone like Torres fits the bill better for Arsenal because he can play across all that front three. That's what they need. I mean, did he not move back to Barcelona? Move to Barcelona and move to Spain because he was homesick. Spurs signed Richarlison. Has he scored a Prem goal for them yet? because he can play in all three positions. Not play them very well. Maybe he won't play every week, but he can play in any of those positions when any of the front three is missing. That's what Arsenal need. I agree with that. Arsenal thought to be keeping an eye on Rafinha's situation at Barcelona. Who really cares? We know we've been tracking Rafinha. We know we tried to sign him in the summer. It did not bang. So there's no point needing any added on talk, really and truly, where he is concerned, if I'm completely honest with you. Like, it is what it is at this point. Shout out to you lot tuned in, folks. Let's get Vlahovic. He's a different profile to Gabriel Jesus 9, and he'll bang from the goal, not like Ferran or Memphis. They're too similar to our 9. Do you think we'll get reinforcements for this window? Surely you give Arteta the best chance to win the league, or fans will never forgive the owners if we choke this because of injuries. I hope so, man. DG had the better left foot, Van Persie or Robin because of the dribbling thing. Diaby's a baller. Then we'll get Rice in the summer. I hope so. Subscribe for free if you're on Amazon Prime, people. If you're following via Twitch, and for extra content, follow on Twitch, people. So, honestly, who knows? 152 likes. Can we get to 200, man? DG, after the Mudryk deal, I'm lost. Are we getting anyone in this transfer window? It seems like, it's not over to the fat lady sings, but she's in her Uber on her way to the venue, innit, really? With it being, the 17th of January, boy, who knows? Transfers can progress pretty quickly. So let's just keep a cool head, hope for the best, but prepare for the worst, and that we don't. And then we can praise or critique the club where need be. So, honestly, I hope so, but who knows, man? Who knows? Let's see if there's any other news. Let's see what we can wrestle up. Hey, Arsenal brought back the bench cam, to be fair with you. What are you saying? It's really just the same old nonsense, really, people. But, I'm going to just browse through for you lot. I mean, where there's a will, there's a way and all. That's interesting. 100 million for Declan, Mazzolini. Absolute Mazza. That don't look like nothing of no. Let me see this one. Smash the like button, people, if you haven't already. And yeah, I wouldn't exactly call these things news. Obviously, I'm just getting the tabs together for you lot, people. All depends how you look at this, really, really and truly, people. If I share my screen with you lot again, or better yet, the window, there we go. Matt Smith needs to keep it moving. It's not going to happen for you at Arsenal. Arsenal are ready to accept Matt Smith offer as Stoke City, QPR and Swansea lead the chase. 22 years of age, probably been here from 8-9 years of age. I understand why you're reluctant. You probably, being an Arsenal player is completely different to playing for Swansea, QPR and Stoke, but you need to get real now. You're 22. You're never going to play for Arsenal like that. You have little to no chance. We don't have any midfielders. You've been on the bench bare times, not played. Young Ethan's got more minutes in the Prem than you. It's time to get real. Apparently there's a championship trio looking at him, and there's several European clubs looking to sign the 22-year-old. So shout out to you, man. You're officially part of Arsenal's first team per se, even though you're 22, playing for the under-21s. You've been out on loan, go and get some football. And for Arsenal, it means we can get some money in, and it means Hayland is doing its job, people. So yeah, he needs to keep it moving. He has 49 appearances for the club, with 41 of those coming as starts. Again, this is in relation to his loans. He's been at Doncaster, Swindon, Charlton. Go out and play football, man. You're not going to brush through. There's a willingness in Arsenal to improve the squad this month, and they will try to continue, says Charles Watts. Where no doubt you've got an article. Again, it's essentially guesswork from everybody. No Mudryk, no panic. Are we going to see anything new here? I'm not in the mood for think pieces. Edu had a number in mind, and it became clearer that the number would not be enough to seal the deal and they would bow out. That's exactly what happened. Arsenal were left with a simple decision to make when Chelsea arrived at the last minute with a more attractive proposal in terms of add-ons. The Gunners still knew that Mudryk wanted to join. They knew that if the player had a choice, he would favour a move to North London rather than the South, but he's gone to the South. It's up to them then to match Chelsea's overall offer and meet Shakhtar's demands. They decided that it wasn't going to happen, so they walked away, feeling what they had offered was fair and a strong bid for such an inexperienced player with no Premier League experience and only 44 appearances for his club. Fair enough. You know, on this occasion, Arsenal felt the numbers involved meant the deal was not right for the club. And as frustrating as it was to miss out on a priority target, the Gunners now have a strict way of operating in the transfer market. We know this. We all know Edu Arteta and Richard Garlick and the board have carefully mapped out a plan that has served them well in recent times. And we know they won't deviate from it, people. Apparently, we'll continue to try to improve. I mean, that's great. But there shouldn't be a sense of panic. There's time to actually, when there's every reason to panic, which there probably is, this is when we need to be the calmest and make things happen. So didn't really learn nothing there. Did we really? Yeah, apparently Okonkwo's loan to SK Studgrass is to be extended to 23-24, according to their director of football. That's great, because you've got no chance of breaking into the first team currently. Arsenal have made initial contact with buying Leverkusen over Moussa Diaby. Leverkusen do not want to sell mid-season. Leverkusen were quoting 100 million euros to interested clubs in the summer, people. Arsenal's priority for this window is a winger and a striker. They still retain interest in Telemans, but player wants a summer move. Rice will also move in the summer, but next club not known. Is this behind the paywall? On Milinkovic-Savic, I think Milinkovic-Savic will stay at Lazio until the end of the season. Newcastle's priority is Leicester's James Maddison. They really love him, but it won't be possible to sign him in January. I think they'll attack the Maddison situation again in the summer. Lazio want to extend Milinkovic-Savic's contract, so it'll be very difficult to sign him, but he's a very good player in my opinion. He is very underestimated. I mean, that don't say anything there. On Telemans and Declan Rice and Yuri Telemans, which is of relevance to us, I don't think Rice will make a move in January. He'll stay at West Ham because they are in a very difficult situation at the moment and they need him for the rest of the season. He'll probably change in the summer. Arsenal have always wanted Telemans at the club and they still want him, but Telemans does not want to move in January. His contract expires in the summer and he wants to move on a free transfer. Arsenal are currently focused on signing a winger and a striker. They're not concentrating on a midfielder at the moment, but of course that can change in the last few days if the right player gets a chance. Okay. On Leandro Trossard, Arsenal could also be interested after the situation with Mudryk, and I think the next few days will be crucial for Arsenal, and they have to decide what they want. So Arsenal is possibly for Trossard, but I think Spurs are more likely to sign him. Fair enough, Fabrizio. And with that, keep an eye on Trossard of Brighton because he's one of the players Arsenal have been offered as a possibility, but at the moment it's on Arsenal. So they have to decide what they want to do. So you lot read into now. I think that is we've exhausted every potential article, people. So the dream is free, the hustle is sold separately. I just have the mentality of what we have at the club is what we're using for better or worse. If someone signs, great. If they don't, rightly or wrongly, like it literally is what it is. Like, can't cry about anything. Just have to get on with it, man. Nah, I did not hear that still. Matt Smith's been needing to leave. Who do you think realistically we could get as a winger in the winter window? Honestly, I don't have no names, man. Don't have any names. From when I seen Runnison and Matt Turner playing Europa League ahead of Matt Smith, Matt Smith must know it's a myth here. He can still have a good career though, and I swear he's got an FA Cup, man. Bro, he's a success story. Come through the academy, been sold, won a trophy. Even you might have even been there when we won the Community Shield. You've been part of the first team. You've trained with Arteta and around some great players. But this is where the story ends. It's now time to get real. Probably have to wash your own kit at the new club you're paid for. Might not have the best meals and all of that, but you're just gonna have to get on with it now. There's nothing else apart from just getting on with it now. Like go and I know again, he's 22. He's grown up as a teenager, a kid, and as in his early 20s as a young man at Arsenal. It's difficult to want to leave that. But, you know, I do think you do. As even someone like Reece Nelson, where it's up to me, you get a new deal. You probably have to leave to advance. You need to be, essentially, you're in your comfort zone. You're deluding yourself to believe you're going to, and I'd love to be proven wrong with Matt Smith because I want every academy team. But you're deluding yourself, probably ignoring the voice in your head that says, I'm not going to make it here. Probably rejected moves in the summer. You're training with the club. You're playing with the under-21s. I'm not begrudging Arteta, but if he wanted to play you, he would. You know, he don't think you, Marquinhos, you kind of brothers are lit right now and can help us, really. That doesn't mean it can't change, but you're 22 years of age. If you at 22 years of age, because I've seen a few 18-year-olds have it. Me personally, I'd want to be close to 100 career appearances at all clubs. And just for argument's sake, he's 23 this month, this year. And that's kind of when you've got to be the finished article. You know, he has not played in an official capacity for Arsenal. He has you have 75 League One appearances. You played 27 times for Swindon and 49 for Doncaster and 8 times for Charlton. You've got a lot of experience, but man want to be captain at under 21s level. Come on now, man. I understand it. I mean, that Fernando Torres, that looks fairly attainable. You know, you could imagine we're not going to have to pay an arm and a leg per se. Smash the like button if you haven't. But honest to God, who knows, man? We're just going to have to wait and see, really. For me, just have the reality of what we have in the squad is what we have in the squad. If we bring players in, great. If we don't, keep working. If we have a great season without bringing in players, great. If it kind of follows last season, then a mistake made more than once is a choice. We have not chosen to learn from our mistakes of last season in the January window. So God knows, really and truly, man. Salute yourself as well, my guy, and everybody tuned in. On that note, though, I don't think there's anything else to really speak about. So I'm not going to waste any more of your time. You know, again, if you could all be so great, people. I kind of went over this transfer news already this morning, people, and because some of you like the long format, some of you like the, you know, the shorter form content. I've done a video that's to come out at 2 p.m. people. So actually very shortly, if you could all smash the like button on that, this video should take you to that. And if you've missed anything, then that's that. Leao, Diaby, or Kudus, DG? Kudus. Oh, Kudus is a bit different. Kudus, because I think there's more layers to his game. He more plays football how I like Leao, but I just think Kudus, I really like Kudus, if I'm honest with you. But yeah, on that note, there's no need to bore and waste any more of your time. Check out the rest of the content, people. Stay blessed, stay safe, and I'll see you lot all again soon, man. Check out the rest of my Twitch and YouTube content. Hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to comment, even if you're watching this on a rerun. Obviously, people, I'm going to get the timestamps in for you. For some of you, don't. That's why I do the longer and shorter form content for you lot. Some of you like the interactive shows. Some of you like, you know, getting to the point. Just trying to cover all the bases, people. Just trying the thing, man. But yeah, you lot stay blessed, stay safe. If you haven't subscribed or hit the like button, make sure you do such. Follow on the socials. Have a great end of the week, end of the day, and all of those things. Yeah, man, we've got through that. Hey, shout my guy. Hey, you need to come on my platform, my dude, man. I need more collabs than that. But yeah, man, you lot stay safe, stay blessed.
Against this right back, Charlie.
There's always just that active red flag defending. I think it's like there's always just that active red flag defending. I think it's like there's always just that active red flag defending. I think it's like there's always just that active red flag defending.